Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. Let's start our video with a story about dealing with entitled customers at a charity shop and how to handle unexpected challenges. But before we dive in, make sure to hit that subscribe button, smash the like if you enjoy the content, and ring that notification bell so you never miss a juicy story. Tried to haggle down a charity. I currently work at a secondhand charity shop, and the amount of customers we get that try to get discounts on our already heavily discounted items is ridiculous. This one happened a couple days ago. Two women, I think mother and daughter, approached the counter, and the older one asked me if I could discount an $8 dress down to $5. Volunteers aren't allowed to give discounts, and $8 is our base price for most dresses. We usually price things at a third of what you'd pay for them brand new. I explained this to the older woman, and she called our pricing system bullcrap. I remained professional as she continued to try and get a discount by saying that she needed the dress for church and that she couldn't afford $8. Never mind that she had another item that she'd brought up to the counter with her that she could have opted not to buy if she needed the dress that much. I told her, I'm sorry, but that's not our problem. I wasn't rude or aggressive when I said it either. I was just genuinely trying to be polite, but firm. She proceeded to throw her items at me, saying, "That was rude," and stormed out of the shop. The younger woman followed behind her after telling me that I was going to hell for this. I served the next two customers who both asked me if I was okay and said that they were out of line. My bosses, on the other hand, sent me home early because the woman complained about me. She told my bosses some sob story, apparently crying, and my bosses said that I should have gotten them because we're a charity and we can't refuse someone without clothes who was in desperate need of charity. But that sure as hell hadn't been how either of them acted. My bosses always tell me not to give out discounts when I tell them that a customer asked for one, so I assumed it would be the same here because they acted rude and entitled the whole time. I submitted an incident report explaining my side of things, and at least one of my bosses seems to understand now, but I have no idea if the other one's still angry with me. Honestly, I'm just a volunteer, and I'm considering quitting. I'm literally not paid to deal with this bullcrap. Edit. A lot of you have mentioned that saying, "I'm sorry, that's not my problem," was a poor choice of words and comes across as rude. And yeah, I'll admit I could have thought that one through a bit more. I genuinely wasn't trying to be rude, but I chose my words poorly. Many of you have also suggested quitting, but I do love working where I work. This incident is the first one to happen. I've had rude and entitled customers abuse me before, and my bosses have always been on my side. I genuinely just think that this was a misunderstanding on their part because the entitled customer had gotten to them first. Obviously, if things are hostile when I go back, then I'm not going to stay in an abusive environment. But with the exception of this incident, my coworkers are lovely people, and I always have a lot of fun and meet a lot of nice people. I don't want to let a few jerks ruin that for me. I've told my boss that I'm going to take the week off after what happened, and she seemed understanding, so hopefully things will be better when I go back. I'm very sorry you had to experience this. Retail customers can be some of the most rude, entitled, and selfish people you could ever meet. And our second story. Following the pharmacist's orders. So I'm one of the bajillions of folks who are afflicted with chronic pain and multiple different things that require medications at different times. It's lame, but I'm glad there are things I can do to help myself. A couple of years ago, I moved in with my girlfriend at the time, now wife, and had to transfer pharmacies. The closest place to our new house was a pretty low-traffic major generic pharmacy, so I figured, cool, that's easy. I work from home and I can pop in during the daytime and pick up my meds. Mostly this works out. I need to pick up maybe 3 or 4 prescriptions per month, and it usually goes exactly according to plan with a minimum of fuss. Except when it came to my Humira. For those unaware, Humira is an immunosuppressant that you can use to combat things like psoriasis, but in my case, it was to help lower my immune system that seemed hell-bent on ravaging my spine. Very mainstream medication. If you live in the US, you've likely seen the terrifying ads on a regular basis. I'd been taking it for years. They have a handy auto-injector pen that makes it virtually painless and easy to take, so I was very confused when I picked up my first prescription from the new pharmacy, and it was a bottle of the medication with a simple syringe provided. Not a huge deal, I could make it work, but it hurts a heck of a lot more to inject that into my stomach than it does to use the pen, So I asked the pharmacist about it. She had no clue what I was talking about, despite the fact that my rheumatologist's script clearly said injector pen on it. I tried to tell her what was happening, but she said she was too busy, and if in the future I didn't get the injector pen, just don't pay for the script and send it back. So a month went by and I ordered my prescription again, making sure to call in and request over the phone that I have the pen instead of the syringe. I went and picked up my order. They're visually identical unless you open them up, and before paying for anything, I opened it up and saw that it was the syringe again. I turned to the tech and asked him to send it back and reorder the injector pen for me. The pharmacist came out in a huff, immediately demanding to know why I'd opened a product that I didn't intend to accept. I told her that was literally what it was the same pharmacist, told me to do last month. You said check it before accepting, so that's what I did. She was agog for a moment. The open box of Humira was going to cost her pharmacy over $4,000. The American healthcare system is so damn stupid. But she then remembered our conversation. I'm extremely tall, so I stick out, I think, and grumbled and shuffled back to her pill layer. I now get my Humira prescription from a different pharmacy that's a good 1-minute drive farther away, but I still use that pharmacy for most of my needs. You know, this story shows how frustrating it can be to deal with pharmacies sometimes. It's wild that even when you follow their instructions to the letter, you can still end up in a sticky situation. And our next story. This might be too spicy for you. My mom told me this story last weekend of something that happened to her back in the late 70s or early 80s. She worked in a belt factory that employed a diverse array of people, folks from all over the world and with different backgrounds. One of the friends my mom made was Azra, a woman from India. Azra found out that my mom likes food from other countries, so she started bringing in homemade Indian food for her to try. Azra also learned that my mom likes spicy food, so she would bring in her homemade pickle. Indian pickle is nothing like American pickles, which are sweet or pleasantly sour. Indian pickles can be extremely spicy. But my mom was friendly and willing to try new things, so she happily ate whatever Azra brought her. One day at lunch, Azra gave my mom a container of cooked rice and some mango pickle. This particular pickle was wildly hot, but by now my mom had built up a tolerance for spiciness and eagerly tucked in. The factory also employed men who were on work release from a nearby prison. Some of these guys were cool and trying to put their past behind them. Not Sylvester. He was a real jerk, always being mean to people, including my mom. While Mom was eating the rice and mango pickle, Sylvester came up to her and said all tough like, "What's that you're eating?" "Oh," responded Mom, "it's Indian rice and mango pickle." "Gimme some," demanded Sylvester. This isn't the first time Sylvester had bothered my mom, but she thought she could make it the last. Batting her eyelashes innocently, she said, "I'm not sure you'd like it, Sylvester. It's pretty spicy." But like the rude bully he was, he insisted she give him a taste, so she gave him a big spoonful of rice, making sure there was plenty of mango pickle to give it some flavor. Sylvester grabbed the spoon and shoved the food into his mouth. As a big tough alpha male, he couldn't let on that the food was anything but delicious, but it was clear that he was suffering. He finally swallowed it down. After that, he left my mother alone. And our next story. We both don't work here, lady. This happened years ago when I was picking out my dress for my high school graduation. For a bit of background, when I was little, my family was poor, so we thrifted like everything. And then when we weren't as poor, it was a habit, so I never really been shopping and didn't know the rules around anything. I took a friend with me and we went to a relatively nice store for my dress, which happened to be very busy that day. I used to be extremely skinny. The dresses on the racks were mostly mediums with some smalls, and I only fit in XS at this point. After I tried a couple dresses on, I realized that the only ones that would fit me in the store were the sample ones that were displayed on the mannequins. Now, I'm super paranoid about breaking rules, but there was this one dress on a mannequin that was just torso on the hanger. I didn't know if people were allowed to touch them, but me and my friend figured that since it wasn't a full mannequin with limbs, we could easily put it back and not be a bother to the very busy store employees. So I started undressing the mannequin, and as the dress is almost off, someone taps me on the shoulder and goes, "Excuse me?" I'm startled, so I drop the mannequin as I turn around. I manage to grab it by the boob before it hits the ground. This lady's staring at me because I'm just groping this mannequin and freaking out because I thought she was an employee who'd caught me breaking some sort of sacred mannequin rule. I start blabbering about how I swear I'm not doing anything weird and I'll put it back, I promise. I'm just skinny, so I needed a smaller size. And the lady starts laughing at me and says, "Oh, I'm sorry, honey. I thought you were working here because you were holding the mannequin. I just wanted to see if someone could let me into the fitting room." At this point, I'm colossally embarrassed. This lady's pitying me and my friend is laughing her butt off. I apologize for confusing her and being weird. She assured me she did not have the authority to evict me and found an actual employee to let her into the fitting rooms and to help me find an appropriately sized dress. The employee also laughed at my predicament before finding me a very nice dress, which ended up not being the display dress, so all my suffering was for naught. The retail people only care about customers touching mannequins as far as the liability goes. If a customer got hurt and wanted to sue, the store has the written policy in place that customers aren't allowed to mess with the mannequins and can use that as a defense. And our last story. They broke in, ate our food, and made a mess of the place. I have a house with a pool that I rent on weekends or throw parties. The kitchen and swimming pool are on outside. Friday, I went to the market to buy drinks, meats, and various things because Sunday there would be a party in this house, so the fridge had a lot of things. On Saturday, my brother called me asking if I'd rented the house this Saturday for someone, and when I said no, he informed me that he passed by and heard very loud music in addition to several voices. I asked him to meet me there, and I went with my husband. There were about 20 people enjoying the pool, drinking, and having a barbecue with my stuff. Apparently, they used a ladder to jump over the wall. The wall had a broken fence and will be replaced tomorrow. It's the only wall that faces the street. When they saw us, they started to get even more desperate that my brother had the ladder. They tried to escape, but we kind of protected the wall. The police had already been called, so we didn't want anyone to escape. Nothing happened to anyone, to make it clear. They just tried to get past us to go over the lowest wall, but couldn't. The police arrived. There were 2 children, 6 to 13 years old, 17 adolescents, 14 to 17 years old, and 1 adult, 39 years old. Those responsible for the minors were called, and this caused a mess as they started to accuse us of holding minors in my house when I'm not a police authority. The police gave me the freedom to press charges or not, but I said I just wanted the value of the items consumed, pay for a cleaning lady, and cleaning the pool. Yes, it would cost a high value because the outside area was a mess and almost everything used in the fridge. The adults began to say that just scolding from the police would be enough and that I know how stupid young people can be and begged me not to charge that amount as most of them were extremely poor. I stood by my decision, saying that they would have until today, Monday, to pay for my damage, otherwise I'd press charges against everyone. Yes, I heard a lot of curses, but today I received the full amount. My husband said that I was very harsh because I paid out of my own pocket anyway. There was the party anyway, and that for us there would be no difference that money, but for poor families, yes. I really don't think it's fair to have this expense, despite being able to pay without weighing on my pocket. Young people are stupid, but still they broke into a house, used everything in it, and left a mess. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.